Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you a movie review. This time I'm talking about Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde was just released in theaters on, of course, July 28th. And of course is starring Charlize Theron and is directed by David Leitch. This movie I was actually pretty eager about, because I enjoy really interesting, strong female characters, when they're done well. And I think Charlize Theron as Lorraine here is one of my favorites I've seen in a while, actually. Before we dive into more of that, though, like I said, this movie was directed by David Leitch. He also directed John Wick most recently. That's what he's kind of known for now. I don't think he directed the second film, though. So this movie is definitely being compared left and right to that film. And I'll admit I haven't seen John Wick yet for some reason so yeah, I can't really compare them that much. But honestly, maybe it's unfair of me to say if I would like this one better even though I haven't seen John Wick, but honestly I do think I probably would get more out of this movie than I would when I watch John Wick eventually. And maybe that's just because of Charlize Theron, because I love Charlize Theron. I think she's a great actress. I like Keanu Reeves too, but I feel like Charlize Theron definitely has better acting chops, in my opinion, anyway. And I really like this movie. I think it turned out really, really well. Of course, this movie mostly takes place in 1989. It's not too soon after, or not too long after the collapse of when the Berlin Wall was brought down. So there's a lot of tension in Berlin and Germany over that, where they're having to go into, and it revolves, like I said, around Lorraine, Charlize Theron's character. She's supposed to be this top level MI6, spy agent, special agents. And she's sent there to find a list of double agents who are being smuggled into the West on the eve of the collapse of the Berlin Wall. So basically, if this gets out, their organization is kind of screwed over. A lot of their missions and just their different movements would be kind of compromised. It's like a little gripe some people have with the movie, I guess, is the plot. It's something we've seen in a lot of like spy type films before. And, I can't really disagree with that. That's probably, like, one little, issue, I guess. But other than that, there isn't really much I can criticize about this movie. The runtime is about, 115 minutes, so basically just under 2 hours. It does feel a little bit long, maybe about, like, halfway through the movie or something, but other than that, that's just like a passing thought. I watched it last night, and then I took the time to try and come up with any issues I have with it, and that's really the best I can say. Other than that, I just thought Atomic Blonde is a very good movie, actually. And my favorite action type sort of thriller movie I've seen since The Accountant, which I really liked. I really liked The Accountant, which of course had Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, and everything. Even though that, again, was probably more of like an action thriller, and it was kind of more of a character study as well, but a lot of people would categorize both of these as just action films, so I'm saying Atomic Blonde is my favorite action movie since The Accountant, so. And really, the way they film action, the way the choreography is done in this movie, it's probably the best I've seen in a movie for quite some time. There's this great, fight scene, like around. Okay, spoilers. Okay, there's this great fight scene around the staircase, towards the climax of the movie, and I'd like to think maybe they're a little bit inspired by Daredevil, because when that did, it's like one take, fight scenes in like the hallway in season 1, and then that stairwell in season 2. It got talked about quite a bit, but I know other films have done this in the past as well, but. Still, the way they filmed it was just amazing. The way it followed the action, it felt really real, and it felt like it was following like the impact of every hit and everything like that. Charlize Theron, let me tell you, she is legit. I already thought she had good acting chops before this movie. I respected her, but she is great. I definitely want to see more of her work. For some reason, I haven't seen Mad Max Fury Road yet either, so I want to watch that for her. But let me tell you, Charlize Theron is a real talent, and she really brings it in this movie. She's very good with her emotion. We don't know much about Lorraine. That's one other criticism I've seen for this movie is that we don't really dive into who she actually is too much. But I'm hoping we get a sequel or two for this because if John Wick's getting like a franchise build, I think Atomic Blonde definitely deserves it too. So maybe we have yet to find out, what really drives her, and I'm fine with that as long as we get a sequel. But I found Lorraine very intriguing, very compelling, and Charlize Theron is just very, very good as the character. I thought, she really could convey like these underlying like subtleties to the character I really loved. One of my favorite scenes is probably the opening scene, just seeing her sort of sulking and whatever. I just thought it was actually really, again, compelling. Some people say, oh yeah, but you got some nude shots of her in that scene too, so that's why you liked it. Okay, yeah, that was nice, I'll admit, but again, I just felt sort of like completely engrossed and immersed in the character, and I wasn't really expecting to get that into her, but I did. So yeah, Charlize Theron, very, very good in this movie, and I know she also did most of the choreography and the stunts herself, and I seen some of her training videos, her rolling around on the mats, and this way that woman can move now, it's frightening and also admirable. So yeah, credit Charlize Theron, definitely. The other main star in this movie is probably James McAvoy. He plays this other agent that she is supposed to work with, but there ends up being some twists and turns, and he ends up being sort of on the other side of things. We'll say I don't want to explain the whole plot of it because I just embarrass myself. But James McAvoy, he's been getting in a lot of roles lately. A lot of people liked him in Split, which I really did too. Of course, he's also been playing Professor X in the X-Men films lately, and I thought he was pretty good here as well. He's kind of this eccentric, wild card from the beginning, and I thought he did well with that. And I liked the sort of more antagonist type of role he had to the end of the movie. He definitely brought an intense quality to him when we knew he was sort of opposed to what Lorraine was trying to do. So I liked him. Then you also have John Goodman in this movie as an agent from the CIA. And bring that up real quick, it's another little critique I've heard about this movie is that we see her, in the slash forward in this room being interviewed almost from the get-go, so we know she survives at least most of the events of this movie, so it took away from some of the tension for some people, I guess. That is a criticism of Chris Stuckman's, who's a reviewer I love, by the way, but we do disagree sometimes. I do get that point, but there was some things that took place after, what she was talking about in the interview, so I felt like one of them could have pulled her gun on her right there and tried to kill her, just put her down to mop it under the rug, but that didn't happen, so I still felt tension in this interview room, really. I thought John Goodman did a good job, he's always very good, and the other actor who was sitting in the room as well. For some reason. I don't know his name right off the top of my head right now. Excuse me. I'm trying to Google it right now. Nope. Okay, but for some reason I just can't get the guy's name right now, but I've seen him in other movies before. He was also in, Captain America the First Avenger, and everything like that. I liked him as well. And then he also has Sofia Boutella, who plays this undercover French agent of sorts. And her and Lorraine end up having, some, pretty good bond together, I'll say that. You might have seen it in some of the trailers. I thought it was going to be a little bit forced at first, but it really wasn't for me. And one of my other favorite scenes, besides that opening, scene of Lorraine, was probably them laying in bed together and them just sort of talking about what this kind of operation is and what this sort of work does to people in a way, I think. And I thought that was actually really interesting and a really real moment of honesty and truth with the character. We got to see Lorraine's soul for a second or two, I think, and I love Lorraine to be explored more. But I think Sofia Boutella did a pretty good job. I thought she was likable enough. I know a lot of people are looking at her in The Mummy right now, and The Mummy is a movie I still haven't really cared to see. But I did hear she was still, cool to watch in that movie, and I liked her here. So yeah, all the acting all around is really fine. A really good cast, actually. Charlize Theron still carrying it all on her shoulders, though. Not that she had to, because the rest of the cast is good too. But she really solidifies how awesome she is in this. People talk about her being the next James, like a female James Bond now. I don't think they need to do that. I think just really put their all behind this Lorraine character and carry this Lorraine character with Charlize Theron, as far as they can. I think that would be the better way to go, actually. And like I said, again, I talked about the action sequences already, the action sequence around the staircase and everything like that. I just want to talk about more of that because it was so, brutal. It reminded me of some of the best of Daredevil. It felt like she was highly trained, but at the same time, it felt realistic, with when she was fighting off a bunch of people. Just the way they move and the way they hit and the brutality of how far it goes sometimes, I thought was really well handled. It gave a good balance. It definitely felt, gritty and everything like that. And another thing about this movie is that it can have that, but it also feels like a bit stylized sometimes too, like with the title, but also with the soundtrack or the score they have in the movie. Sometimes it has a good flow and feel to it. I think that actually blended well, which I wasn't really expecting. Because at first the soundtrack and score I didn't really like, with the movie. I just felt it didn't really fit with the premise. But at the same time, it kind of added to it and made it more fun and enjoyable, I thought, while still having those, brutal, sort of real, impactful moments towards the end of the movie. And I liked how things were wrapped up between her and James McAvoy's character as well. And, she, of course, turns out to be, doubling basically against all of them because she's a agent with John Goodman's character as well. So she turns out to be part of the CIA, so that's good. She kind of loses any sort of accent she had in the movie, I guess. So I thought that was good as well. I'd be really curious to see what they do with the sequel. Like I said, I hope they try to build this up like they've done with John Wick. I think it's definitely deserves at least one more film at the very least. So overall, I loved Atomic Blonde, actually. One of the best action films I've seen in a long time. Definitely one of the most well-filmed and well-choreographed action sequences I've seen in a movie. Probably the best I've seen in a movie from what I can remember, honestly. If I had to rate Atomic Blonde, I've been debating between an A- and just a A. Honestly, though, maybe I should give it an A because my scale is a combination of criticism and just pure enjoyment, basically. So I'm debating between these two here, but there's really not many issues I can come up with the movie besides just minor gripes and what other people have said that I don't agree with. So I guess it'd probably be closer to an A, but I do think I need to watch again to really know for sure. But yeah, Charlize Theron is just amazing. The rest of the cast is fine as well. I really like them. That final, that main action sequence I keep talking about, the main fight sequence, really solidified it as well, and I was really engrossed in the Lorraine character too. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Atomic Blonde if you had the chance to see it. I chose to see this over the Emoji Movie, shocker. Also over Dunkirk. I may still see Dunkirk sometime, but I'm not really expecting anything to be any better than Hacksaw Ridge or 13 Hours. But I may still see it, but I'm glad I chose Atomic Blonde because I loved it. So yeah, catch you guys next time. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, and peace.